Hello and welcome to today's live stream. My name is Alina and this channel is my channel about personal spiritual growth, about coaching, decision-making processes and spiritual practices. And this video is dedicated to more spiritual topics, so if you're interested in spiritual practices, please keep watching. I hope you will find this video interesting and informative. So, shalom, вітаю вас, welcome, let's talk about spiritual practices. Let's talk about tarot readings, about runes, about meditations and all other tools and practices we use when we ask questions from the universe, from our spiritual guides, from informational field, from our higher self, about our future, about specific situation, and we want to get an answer, want to get more information, or maybe want to get some direction, some suggestions, some warnings also, and not in 100% of cases this is what is happening. Sometimes we are not getting a correct answer, we're getting something misleading or confusing or just incorrect. So why does it happen? What to do with it, and is it normal at all, or something is wrong with you specifically, with your spiritual path, with your spiritual practices? So let's talk about it in details. First of all, it's something no one likes to hear, but we need to admit there is no way in any field, including science and including everything, there is never 100% of correct answers. There is never a 100% guarantee. Even when you go to a doctor or you go to surgery or do lab tests, you will get a notice and you will be explained that sometimes the answers can be incorrect, something can go wrong, sometimes you need to repeat the test, something didn't work as expected. And yet, for some reason, we expect that in spiritual practices, we will get absolutely perfect 100% of accuracy. And then when it doesn't happen, we get upset. So there is no reason to be upset. In case if you have, like, let's say, around 80% of your spiritual practices, when you ask question and get an answer, if in 80% of those cases the answer was correct, so you are doing fine. This is a good result. 80% of correct answers is great. And even if you go to other fields that are not so mysterious and more like common and more accepted by society, than spirituality, you will see that not all of them can give you 80% of accuracy. So 80% of correct answers is great. This is first of all. And now let's think what can happen if you have less than 80% of correct answers, that half of your answers are not correct, or maybe even more. So this is something you need to look into, so because it's also too low, there should be more than 50% of correct answers. And there can be many reasons why the reading or your meditation or your other spiritual practice, when you asked a question and got an answer about future event, about some advice, warnings, some clarification of a situation, stuff like that. When you asked a question and you got an answer that wasn't correct, so what can be a reason that is decreasing the accuracy of your spiritual practices and your readings? So there are many reasons. So let's start from that you can be just tired. You are tired and you need, first of all, when you're doing such spiritual practices, when you're trying to get into informational field and get something from there, you need to pay attention. Do you feel good in general? Maybe you're sick, maybe you're in pain, maybe you're just very tired, and maybe it's better not to do any spiritual like readings at that day, and maybe to do it tomorrow, for example, because there is a big chance that the reading will not be correct. The second thing is when we are not focusing on who are we contacting with. Sometimes in general, we should be focused on our higher self or the universe, God, our spiritual guides, angels. Everyone feels what is correct for them to contact with when you're asking a question, but sometimes people are or not aware or forgetting to start this like dialogue, this communication, and they're just asking the question like, what is the best for Maria and Jonathan to buy a house on this street or that street, for example, and you're doing the reading. So who was that one you asked? This question was addressed to where, to whom? Imagine that you're dialing a random number, asking a question, getting a random answer from the person that answered. So this is how it works with spiritual practices. You need to have an intention to contact with high vibrational beings or with your higher self, or if it's a question about your decision or indecision or some inner processes, or you want to contact your, for example, your clients, spiritual guides, or you want to contact the universe, or you want to pray to God before you're doing the reading. And sometimes people are just asking like the question and then getting some answer. You never know from where this answer came, and also it's not very safe for your energy. I highly do not recommend practicing this way without starting a dialogue with some spiritual beings or some spiritual source of a high frequency spiritual energy. Another thing is when your question wasn't as much, like your question needs to be very, very organized, very structured, and very specific. If your question wasn't specific, you will not get a specific answer, or you can easily get an answer that can be misinterpreted or understood in a million of different ways. So be as specific as you can when you're asking a question. So for example, instead of saying, is it good for Maria and Jonathan to buy a house in Massachusetts, why don't you ask about specific cities, or even better, specific addresses? Because if the answer will be yes, it will be okay for them to buy this house, and then how much money will I have in February 2024? It's also a good kind of question, but you can also, to be sure, to ask about the source. For example, from my project with this and this company in February 2024, how much money I will get? Because if you're asking in general about a month, so you can see some, for example, cards that are showing you some signs of prosperity, and you can think that it's something positive, and maybe the money will come from insurance company because, I don't know, something will happen and you will be eligible for this coverage for your house or your car or whatever, your business. So it's very important to be very specific and ask about every specific action. In this project, how much money I will get in this month, or from this company, how much will I get, or will collaborating with this client in this project in this month will be profitable for me, stuff like that. So it's more specific where there are less misunderstandings and misinterpretations of what we asked. Yeah, this is another thing, that when we asked something in general and we got a very general answer, that is like about everything and about anything. So as more specific you are, the more specific you will feel in your meditation or in your tarot reading, the more accurate and specific will be the answer. So think good about the question, mention specific projects, specific dates, specific things, and you will get a very specific answer. So yeah, if we ask a very general question, it can be a problem that will lead us to misinterpretation of the reading. Another thing is, if you were doing a tarot reading or runes reading with your friend, and before then you explain him all the situation in lots of details. So what happens is that when we talk about something a lot, we are creating informational field around us. So there is informational field around us that we created with our thoughts and emotions and conversation. And if we had this long conversation in a room, we spoke about it, and then we're doing the reading immediately after the tarot reading, for example, it can lead to a situation when we will just read this informational field that is around us. It's like, let's give an example of perfumes. If we have perfumes and we spray them all over us in the room and we tested them, and it will be hard to smell something specific later. So if you're doing a tarot reading or any other reading to your friend or family member, someone that it's like not a formal meeting, so you spoke about the situation, you had a big conversation about it, your friend told you their like fears, emotions, or maybe hopes and expectations, and all this conversation created informational field around you. And it will be hard to do a reading because there is a big chance that your cards or your meditation or your other feelings, that techniques that you use to get information will pick up this informational field that is close, that is easy to pick up because here it is around you. So I recommend, first of all, to meet, to ask the question that the person wants to check, to do the reading, to finish the reading, in the end of the reading, to thank the universe, your spiritual guides, finish everything. Be sure you're not continuing with any readings for today. And only then, when you put all cards aside, have a conversation about the situation and then discuss all the personal feelings, emotions, ideas, hopes, fears, and stuff like that. So you will not create that field around you that will be an obstacle for your effective meditation or tarot reading or whatever technique you use. So keep it in mind, don't talk too much about the topic you're going to check about. Another one is more specific about probably tarot and runes. If you have a new tarot deck you're not very familiar with yet, you just started, you don't know the cards really good. By the way, I bought a new card deck for myself. I was buying tarot decks for I think about 7 years now. My oldest deck is 15 years old, by the way. And now I bought a new deck. It's called Fantastical Creatures Tarot. I will show you the deck while I'm talking. So if I'm still not very familiar with this deck, and I didn't put all the energy and information, my personal associations with each card, and I don't have very strong understanding and connection with each card, there is a big chance that if now I will do a reading with this deck, there will be a higher percent of misinterpretation and misunderstanding by me by the of those cards. So I will maybe receive a correct answer. I will not be able to interpret it in the best possible way. So that is why it's very important when you're doing a tarot reading, first of all, to finish learning your tarot deck, knowing each card in the deck, and having like a good amount of energy and information you put into this card deck, in every card of the deck. By the way, these cards I do not recommend for tarot course for my students and for people that are learning tarot elsewhere. And of course, I highly do not recommend to learn tarot by just buying a book and reading by heart the meanings of the cards. This is a way to not understand your cards and having a very high percent of misinterpretation of the cards and incorrect readings. But in general, before I'm starting to work with a deck to check things, I need to learn those cards really, really good. For example, I'm not doing readings with those cards yet. So the reason can be that the person learned cards from the book, or the person's trying to interpret all cards of all decks the same way. It's also a common mistake for someone who is not very experienced with tarot, that they learn by heart some tarot book and they think that all tarot decks they will buy will work by the rules of that book, and it never happens, and that's why they have a lot of misinterpretation of the cards. Another thing that can be a big obstacle for effective meditation, tarot reading, rune reading, or any other spiritual practice you have is when you're doing this in a place that has a big holiday or maybe some grief event at that moment. I mean, in that specific place, people celebrate something. Most of people that live there are celebrating something. It can be something happy, or maybe it can be some Memorial Day or stuff like that. Anyway, all those people that are having this special date for them, for their culture, for this, or maybe only for their city, they are creating an informational field. And this informational field is something that is creating an obstacle. It's harder to get information when everyone around you in a city, in the houses nearby, in the neighborhoods around you are thinking and focused on something specific. When everyone are focused on something specific, this is much more than energy of every specific person. When we are all united, all together, thinking about something, it creates much more energy than the number of people that are doing it. That's why the group meditations, group prayers, group mantras reading, or mantras singing have such a powerful energy. It's much more than each of us will pray in your time when it works for you. If we'll do it all together, it will be much more than only us. It will be something that we will create that will be bigger and stronger than us. The same when we are all thinking about something all together, it has a strong energy. And that is why when people are celebrating something or have a Memorial Day, and you are in the same place where they are, there is a big informational field around you that can be an obstacle for effective tarot reading or meditation when you are trying to contact your higher self or the universe and get some answers. I would just postpone it for a few days and do it later on a regular day where there is no specific holidays or Memorial Days, stuff like that. Another thing that can be a problem is energetical disbalance that the tarot reader is having, not the client, the reader. It's always about the reader in those cases. So if you're very, for example, emotionally involved in a situation and you're upset and you're nervous or you're stressed or you're in fear or you're full of hopes, you are all in, you're very involved, and you cannot look on it from a side and be very neutral for those 30 minutes, or how much does it take you to do your spiritual practice when you're asked the questions. So it's better, so you will not do it for yourself. For example, I'm always before I'm doing the any spiritual practice, meditation or tarot reading, when I'm about to ask a question about something and to ask some advice and guidance from a spiritual guides, first of all, I'm always thinking, can I be neutral now? Can I be like calm and neutral, just receive the answers and interpret them, and then come back to my emotions, thoughts, hopes, fears? Sorry, or I'm too involved. When I'm feeling that I'm too involved, I'm preferring to go to someone else who is less emotional about it and to ask them to do a reading for me. Sorry, I'm still a little sick. So probably it's what I will recommend you before you are asking the questions, before you're doing your spiritual practice or reading. Ask yourself and think, can I be neutral at this time? Can I just do the reading, get the information, interpret the information without thinking about it, without my feelings, my emotions, my fears, and then finish the reading or finish the meditation, and then come back to all my hopes, emotions, fears, etc. Or I'm all in, I cannot stop, I cannot be neutral, I hope so much that it will be this or that result, or I'm afraid, or I'm nervous, or I'm just not in a balance about the situation, very emotionally involved. So check it, because we cannot do the same question more often than once in a month. Even if you got the wrong answer, it's better to wait for a month, like x-rays. X-rays are not harmful for you if you're doing them once in a while, but if you're checking the same information again and again, it is not very healthy for this information also. So there is no need to do tarot reading or meditation with questions every other day. Do it once in a while, and when you really feel that you need this extra guidance and you're lacking some information. Those are probably the most common things that are coming to my mind about inaccurate tarot readings, meditations, and situations when we are asking the information from the universe and getting something incorrect. I hope this information was interesting and useful. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to this channel, like this live stream, and don't forget about the bell, to ring the bell, so you will see when my new live streams are coming up. And if you have some ideas about my future live streams, what question can I answer, what topic can we discuss, please write me in comments, and see you next time. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye bye.